Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday and welcome to a very special edition of our Behind the Science chat with Mary Esther Gilbert. I know some of you are already familiar with her, but if you are not, oh my gosh, are you in for a treat today? Mary Esther is such an incredible woman. For foremost, she's an educator. She is an educator on nutrition, 40 years plus in the nutrition field, holistic, naturopathic. She's a true health mastery professional from the Institute of Holistic Personal and Health Development. And we are super excited to have her here today to chat with us a little bit about our brand newest drop coming out with APL Go, and it is called PFT. So please welcome Mary Esther to our call.
Hey everyone, glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So this is a long-awaited 3 years we've been waiting to get this weight loss lozenge, right? It's been so long and it's finally right around the corner. We are weeks away and we have just been dying to pick your brain about this incredible drop. So if you could just do an introduction of yourself really quick, that would be great.
Hey, thank you. So yes, I've been researching botanicals and healing, foods for 45 years now, and just compiling them into individualized nutritional healing protocols. I did that until 12 years ago when I retired my 30-year practice. So since then, I've been creating, articles and writing books. And just getting the word out there. I call it the true health movement. It's my mission to make everyone on this planet healthy, because when we get healthy, we are elevated, we perceive things in a whole different light, we're much more energetic and creative and innovative, and we're less likely to put up with any bull. We can kind of discern what's factual and what isn't. So that's my mission. I just love feeling the way I feel right now in my 60s, late 60s. I'll be 69 in November, but I don't feel it. And I want everyone to experience what it feels like that way. I see a lot of really vibrantly healthy people in APL, and it's so great to see. So anyway, I'm excited to be here and I'm happy to share the accumulation of knowledge that it's just ongoing. I'm never going to stop because it's just a passion. I can't help it. I just, and just eating this stuff up. And so I want to share it with everyone.
Oh, that's so awesome. And I want to say right now, this book is a game changer for not just the industry of nutrition, but for our company. 600 plus pages, all about the incredible power of our DNA nutritional drops. And my first question is just in general. I know you've been studying the APL Go lozenges for a long time. In your opinion, why are these drops so powerful compared to any other nutritional supplement on the market?
It's that technology. We're dealing with things at the micro cell level, and that's where these drops address. Whenever something goes wrong in the body, the DNA gets damaged of our multiple trillions of cells in any one of our many, body systems. So the drops actually address it right where the problem is. And I couldn't believe it. When I flew to New York back in 2017, we were only a handful of people in the United States who were being introduced to the products. And having worked with botanicals for many decades, I thought, okay, let's go take a look at this. Let's see what this company has to offer, because a very close associate of mine told me all about it. And she knew me. She knew me for 20 years. So she knew not to approach me unless there was a product that was exceptional. So we went to New York and we got introduced to Sergey and his staff. And I was asking the questions. And when they told me about the technology, I was excited. It took a lot for me to get excited. I've been examining ingredients and products and watching the nutritional supplement industry grow for many years. And so I've seen it evolve, and I've seen some pretty good outcomes as far as what's being produced out there in the way of just normal tablet powders, things like that. But it's the absorbability factor. How well do these nutrients get inside of our cells to do the actual repair work? That's where the drops are different.
Oh, that is just excellent. So straight to PFT. I know you've checked out all the ingredients. and I know you have a lot to say, but I love what you said about absorbability, especially when it comes to a weight loss product. Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, there's so many weight loss products on the market. What's going to make PFT so much superior than anything else?
Okay, great question, Tina. I love this. I love being here today. So when your body is undergoing a weight loss, usually it's losing lean body mass. So you don't want to lose that valuable, healthy body protein. We're almost all protein. Every organ, every cell in the body is made out of protein. So we have to have enough protein to maintain it. But in weight loss, people tend to not eat properly or not eat at all, or terribly reduce their energy intake, their food calorie intake. And that's where things go wrong. That's where people fail. So there's a combination of things that people must do is get into the fat burning process, which is usually the aerobic exercise, but a lot of people can't exercise. So what science is doing now is they're discovering all these different compounds in a huge array of foods that actually help the body burn more body fat, not valuable protein tissue.
Wow, that's amazing. And PFT does target visceral fat. Now, for anybody who is unfamiliar with that, what is visceral fat and why is it so important that PFT is focusing on that?
Yeah, visceral fat is the hidden fat. It's hidden inside of our tissues, in our organs. And so the body will store fat under the skin, and that's what we see. But actually, if a person is accumulating body fat over many years, it's going to store it in other places. Otherwise, we would be, massively obese. So that's what it is. It's actually just tucked away fat in various body places so that when people try to lose weight, the scales don't tell them they're losing weight. They might be losing body fat gradually over the whole body. The body doesn't give up body fat in specific areas. It'll take it a little at a time where it deems necessary to give it up. And you never know where that's going to be. The body's very smart that way. So aerobic exercise is one thing. And also, I don't advocate not exercising, because if you want to take off body fat, aerobic exercise, the fat burning cycle, when you elevate your heart rate and you get into it for at least 15, 30 minutes, even if it's walking. And if you're in a wheelchair or if you're confined to bed, you can still move your body. Conductors, they burn a lot of calories up there, right? So you can actually elevate your heart rate for a sustained period to get into the fat burning cycle. Otherwise, your body's just going to burn glucose, which is blood sugar, for short-term energy efforts. But when you want to burn body fat, you've got to get into that aerobic effect.
So yes, and I think a lot of people are asking like the difference between us and any other product on the market. And really what you're saying is it's the absorbable part, the way the product is absorbed, because it's a teeny tiny little, it looks like a candy. It's teeny tiny. And people say, how can something so small have that many amazing ingredients packed into it? And how can it work so well?
Okay, great question. I love this question. So we have to understand the inner universe of our bodies. When we consume food, the food is going to be broken down to that micro subatomic level. That's where things happen in the body. So when we take in those drops, it's actually huge amounts of micronutrients that our cells have a field day with, okay? It's a huge array of phytochemical compounds, enzymes, micro trace mineral complexes, all these different phytochemical complexes that are at that scale. So our bodies actually break things down to that level. So the drops are already at that level, and they're easily absorbable and accepted into our cells, because at the cell membrane, there's these very distinguishing, very distinctive, very picky receptor sites that only allow certain molecules inside the cell. And the drops apparently are perfect.
Wow, that's such amazing information. And my last question before we get into the ingredients is the sugar content. So each drop has about a gram of sugar, and we get the question all the time. How is it possible that this drop that is so powerful, so nutritious, so good for you has sugar in it? Can you explain the sugar content a little bit?
Yeah, there's different types of sugar in the drops. You have the molasses, which is very bioavailable and actually safe for diabetics. So it's got a low, what's called a glycemic index, a measurement of just how much a sugar will elevate the, the sugar level in the blood and elevate the triglyceride levels, and how readily will it be turned into body fat. That's what happens when a person takes in too much sugar. But 1 gram of sugar, your digestive system and all these enzymes that are present in the body that are able to completely break down this very, very simple sugar, sucrose, which is what's in our drops. And it's just a 1 step away from turning it into fructose and glucose. So these 2 sugars are very, very safe. Fructose is the sugar in fruits. So those are very safe sugars to eat. Your body immediately uses that because in our trillions of cells, that's the energy unit of sugar that the body needs to do all of its work. And also it fuels the glucose will fuel the brain and make our muscle tissues go. So our body will convert glucose to glycogen, which is muscle starch, and store it in various areas, especially in the muscles, especially if you exercise, then, it gets ready for the next workout. So it converts a lot of the glucose into glycogen. So your muscles are stronger. And that's what brings the sculpting look, that curvature that people have when they work out a lot, So that's all about storing nutrients in the muscles. So it's really easy to break down that 1 gram of sugar. That is not a problem. But when a person is eating too much sugar in their diet, they don't realize when they don't read labels maybe, or they don't know the sugar or carbohydrate content in the foods they eat. That's something that everyone should know, by the way. Everything you eat, jot it down, look it up in the USDA food databases, and it'll tell you how many grams of sugar, how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat you're taking in any particular food. So rule of thumb real quick is if you take in raw foods and organic foods, animals that have been grazed properly and just raised organically so that they contain more nutrients, and all of that has to be put together. Stick to the nature, stick to the less processed foods, and eliminate the chemicals that are in so many of these drinks and fast foods and processed foods. So don't clog up your system. Keep it clean. You want it clean burning so that you can readily burn the body fat off. Burning fat just means that you're converting energy to heat, and it's being dissipated as heat. So that's what literally makes fat cells give up the fat molecules and just dissipate them and dissolve them. So anyway, back to the sugar, the 1 gram of sugar. So yeah, you want to minimize the processed sugars, but 1 gram, are you kidding me? Your body can handle it immediately.
Oh, excellent. So this product, new product, PFT, I mean, it might as well be weight loss cake, because really, haven't we been waiting for that our whole lives? It's something that we love, that is delicious, and we actually enjoy taking, but at the same time, it's so powerful. I know PFT has over 16 ingredients in it, so I'm just going to pass it directly to you, and maybe you can share why you think APL chose these particular ingredients and a little bit about each one.
Oh my goodness. All right, you guys. When I saw those 16 ingredients, and there are a number of new ingredients in there, so I got to work 3 days ago. I just started doing the research and I started compiling the information, but I only stuck to what was relevant to why the PFT is called PFT. It's to burn, it's to help us, reduce body fat, right? So I stuck to that kind of research. And so what you'll see today, as I share my screen, you'll see just that it's geared toward that. But actually the research on every single one of these ingredients is overwhelming. I had to stick to the peer-reviewed studies, and I had to summarize because I knew we were in for a very long, call today if I did not cut it back. But I also inserted, like I always do, I back myself up with everything I say by citing all the scientific data. So you'll see in this document, and I might add that right now I'm unable to post anything on my current website because they did not tell me that they were switching to a new web host provider. I'm going from Vistaprint, which I've had for 20 years, and they're going to Wix. So right now I can't post new things because it's undergoing that change. But hopefully that'll be resolved this week because don't like not being able to post things on my website to make things readily available for everyone. So the PDF document I'm about to show you will be available, or I can email it to you, Tina, and then you can share it with everyone that way until I can post it on the new website.
That would be excellent and so generous of you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So let me share my screen and I will bring up the document. Oops, that's the wrong one. All right, can everyone see my document here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to enlarge it a little bit. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'd like to go over the new ingredients first. I mean, we have aloe vera, we know what it does, but there's also some new research that I discovered that is very pertinent to the PFT product. So I'll go over that shortly. The barley seeds, I'd like to say that I know it's a new ingredient in beetroot as well. Brown algae, I'll come back to that too. I mean, that was overwhelming. So much research on that, but I just combed it, you know, with a fine-tooth comb to get out everything having to do with, you know, fat metabolism. And then flax seeds are awesome too. We know about the Garcinia cambogia. We know about ginger root, but there's new stuff on these as well that I'm going to share with you today. Moringa leaves, pod pepper, that's an exciting one. Psyllium, that's also awesome. But I want to go down to the vitamins and the mineral. So before I go on, it's going to look like I'm going to be advocating individual vitamins. But what you want to do is have whole food complexes, because that is so much more intricate that the body understands. When you buy a synthetic vitamin off the shelf, it's going to be very hard for the body to absorb it, especially if you choose individual vitamins. The body does not know what to do with that. It's looking for the whole complex. It needs the other aspects of what plants offer. Okay, so, but I'm going to give you the information that science has discovered about each of these individual ones. Each vitamin is a whole complex in itself when it's in plant-derived form. Okay, so this is thiamine, also known as vitamin B1. And all vitamins are coenzymes. They're very important for helping the body convert things and get things moving and just taking all this action that cells need to do to keep us alive. So nothing would happen without enzymes, but enzymes can't occur without the help of vitamins. And we cannot manufacture them in our bodies, so we need to get them from outside sources. All right, so anyway, this is a special coenzyme and it's good for metabolizing and utilizing carbohydrates, fats, and protein. So that's a very important vitamin to have in your diet when you're trying to metabolize all these nutrients so that you don't store them readily as body fat. If you are just active all the time, out and about, going like Tina, she's traveling the world and she doesn't sit around, I'm sure, to collect calories, right? Look at her. So yeah, I mean, this is a very special nutrient for helping us utilize all these nutrients in our foods. So important for the use of essential fatty acid. Yes. Okay. So B vitamins and our healthy fats, our dietary fats, work hand in hand, and they do so much in the body. They're everywhere. They're involved in energy production, in the cell mitochondria, and protein and neurotransmitter synthesis. So the body is always producing new proteins and producing new cells and neural pathways. So whenever we think something new or learn something new, we're developing new pathways in our nervous system, in the brain, and the entire nervous system that goes throughout the entire body. And also, thiamine deficiencies lead to metabolic acidosis, or the buildup of too much acid in the body. It's unable to neutralize this acid in that condition. It also interferes with our glucose metabolism, how our bodies handle sugar. And also, your body can't produce the energy in the mitochondria inside of our cells. And in the drops, we have the plant mitochondria. All of that genetic information in the mitochondria is shared and enables our bodies to improve in that area too. But I'm going off on a tangent. I need to stick to this, otherwise we'll be here all day. So also muscle cramps. If you have muscle cramps, there are a lot of reasons for muscle cramps, but one of them is a deficiency in the B vitamins, namely, as science has discovered, the thiamine. Decreased libido, digestive system malfunctions. So all the digestive, enzymes and chylochloric acid, things like that are promoted through the use of B complex in the body. Increased heart rate, what's that? Nystagmus, I forget what that is, which includes reduced vision and depth. Oh yeah, okay, so reduced vision and depth perception, involuntary eye movements, balance and coordination problems. So if you're experiencing any of that, eat foods high in the B complex, take the PFT drop, things like that. Long-term deficiency results in nerve disorders, beriberi, muscle atrophy, weakening of the heart, contractions, low blood pressure, and nerve paralysis. Now, all of these issues are, of course, very complex, and there's a lot of causes, but this is one of the things that scientists have discovered, that someone who is deficient in this particular vitamin, that's what their test results were. So antioxidants, a very effective scavenger of all these different chemicals and foreign substances that are in the body that shouldn't be there. And so our bodies respond with this inflammatory response, including the reactive oxygen species. So it serves to neutralize that kind of thing. It accelerates the cell's energy production cycle in the process of converting pyruvate to acetyl CoA, coenzyme A, while inhibiting the breakdown of pyruvate to lactate. That's the chemical that causes muscle soreness. So it prevents muscle soreness. Okay, so then we can go on to the riboflavin, B2, and that it's a key, nutrient for energy metabolism. And it's also serves as a coenzyme in so many different biochemical reactions for reducing or reconstructing certain molecules. So your body's breaking things down and repurposing them and building things up for new purposes. So the riboflavin is very key for those processes. Also, they're used in inflammatory conditions like infections on the skin, or there's this condition where the corners of the mouth get inflamed and cracked, inflammation of the tongue, or sepsis, or any kind of bacterial infection that spreads throughout the body. So riboflavin is one of the key nutrients that works with the immune system to try to alleviate that. Helps prevent cataracts, helps prevent any kind of rancidity when you're taking in the wrong fats, or when your body is, the immune system is not on top of preventing fatty acids from becoming more like carcinogenic, things like that. So we have to make sure that we're taking in the right dietary fats. Always refrigerate your plant fats, always, no matter what it is. Otherwise, if it reacts with oxygen, or if it sits there, it starts degrading, and then it becomes a free radical. It can destroy your cells and go from a very healthy thing to a very destructive thing. It's good to stick to whole food fats, that way you have the whole complexes, including the riboflavin in there. Anti-nociception, it helps attenuate the body's response to pain and injury. So in other words, you can handle pain, you don't have to just like your nervous system doesn't go into a panic the minute your hand hits a table really hard, or you bump into something, or you fall down and you injure yourself. People who have very poor nervous systems are very susceptible to pain. So people who have very healthy nervous systems, right away it's attenuated by some things that in the body, like the riboflavin. Aids in the prevention of osteoporosis, of bone degeneration and fragility, aids in the immune system. All the B vitamins work very closely with the immune system and the hormonal system. It decreases the risk of premenstrual syndrome, and that, of course, affects mood swings, food cravings, fatigue, depression, irritability. And deficiencies include things like hormone function disruptions, hair loss, migraine headaches, anemia, cataracts, chelosis, and that's the, chelosis, cracking and scaling of the corners of the mouth that I mentioned earlier, inflammation of mucous membranes in the stomach, disruption of digestion and metabolization of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Okay, and these are just a few of the things that are of the information that's available on these particular vitamins. So I tried to gear them that was appropriate for the PFT product. All right, so who's ever had a niacin flush? Have you ever taken an isolated niacin? That is a very uncomfortable feeling. Back when I was 20, I was taking my first nutrition class in college. And I had read that niacin is good for certain things. So I went out and bought niacin, and I took it before going to my nutrition class, of all things. And I was sitting there in class, and all of a sudden I felt like I had the hives, like you would not believe, like I'd walked through a field of poison ivy or something. And I just had these welts, red welts, and it was just itching and burning so crazy. I could hardly stand it. I was sitting there just in class, couldn't stand, couldn't wait until the class was over. And then when I went to look in the mirror, it had already dissipated. And so it doesn't last long, but some people don't experience such, such such extreme reactions to niacin. But when you isolate these vitamins and they're in the synthetic or less complete molecular form, like in these supplements out there, your body's not going to handle it very well. But when it's in a whole food complex, that like in the drops, then you're not going to have to worry about that. So anyway, that little story on the side. So it's converted in the body to its metabolically active form. So right away, the body converts it to this coenzyme nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, also known as NAD, and the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, which is NADP, which are required for over 400 enzymes to perform all these speeding up of processes, biochemical reactions in the body, more than any other vitamin-derived coenzyme. So niacin is very important for that. Each has its particular specialty. So NAD is involved in transferring energy in carbohydrates, fats, proteins in the body's primary unit of energy called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So this is the unit of fuel our body converts for ongoing energy to fuel and make the body move during an aerobic exercise, walking, swimming, rowing, running, something that you do for a sustained period of time where it elevates your heart rate to get into that fat burning process. What I like about a lot of these other nutrients that are in the PFT, you'll see that science has discovered that all these particular nutrient compounds that are in these plants will actually elevate the body's ability to the point where it's going to burn body fat. So it's not a substitute for aerobic exercise, don't get me wrong, but it really aids in elevating the metabolism so that your body will use fat for energy rather than carbohydrates, which it usually does when you're not exercising. Enables reactions that build or synthesize cholesterol and fatty acids while serving a vital role as an antioxidant that protects against the degenerative oxidation of fats, which prevents fats from becoming damaging free radicals. So all of these are working to destroy all of these foreign substances in the body, or sometimes the body when it's under stress, or when you skip a meal, you're not getting enough rest, or you're eating the wrong foods, then your body will form these free radicals, which are very, very damaging to the healthy cells. So NADP comes rushing in and helps to ameliorate that. All right, so niacin deficiency leads to a skin discoloration condition known as pellagra, which also affects the tongue, and also digestive tract disorders that lead to constipation, diarrhea, and also vomiting, and leads to headache, fatigue, apathy, depression, and loss of memory. So you don't want a niacin deficiency, but also you don't want to isolate it, okay? Loss of memory, that also is due to a niacin deficiency, and that can progress to all these abnormal behaviors like aggressiveness, paranoia, hallucinations, and suicidal behaviors. So B complex is very, very important. All right, so pyridoxine, B6, is involved in over 100 enzyme biochemical reactions in protein and amino acid metabolism. So you want to be able to break down the protein foods that you eat. If your digestive system is not secreting enough digestive juices, then you're not going to break down those huge protein molecules and reduce them down to amino acids. And that's where the body uses them inside of our cells to rebuild new tissues and new body proteins and things like that, immune system, cells and enzymes. All these are built on amino acids. So pyridoxine is really helpful in that process to breaking them down. So this active coenzyme forms in the body as pyridoxal 5-phosphate or PLP and pyridoxamine 5-phosphate or PMP, and they're involved in the utilization of actions of amino acid metabolism, building new cells, tissue, and biochemicals. PLP is involved in metabolizing or utilizing carbohydrates and lipids, plays a role, and there it is, the fat burning process. So we need PLP to help use these carbohydrates and these fats that are circulating in the body and the blood, and to utilize them properly for energy, for building new cell constructions, cell structures. So all of these structures in the body require certain nutrients, which one of them is PLP. And it plays a role in cognitive development by synthesizing chemical neurotransmitters in the nervous system. So we are always forming new neurotransmitters, like I mentioned earlier, and pyridoxine also helps in that process. It maintains normal homocysteine levels, that's an amino acid, in the blood. So we always have to have a certain amount of amino acids present at all times. So I don't want to go off in a tangent, but that's why I advocate animal-derived protein. So you get all of those amino acids all at one time in one meal. Otherwise, your body will stop any one of your multiple trillions of processes and go on to do something else, or borrow something from a living tissue to break it down and use that when it's important for something more at a high level, like your heart and your kidneys, things like that. All right, so pyridoxine is also involved in gluconeogenesis, or the building of new red blood cells, and in glycogenolysis, which is the process of reducing glycogen, like I mentioned earlier, to the body's complex carbohydrate or muscle starch. So yeah, it stores glycogen, but it'll break it down to glucose whenever it's needed. So it needs pyridoxine to execute that process. So glucose is the body's simple sugar, and like I said, it fuels the brain and all the actions that occur in our cells. So it's the fuel for everything that happens in the body at the micro level, but it needs the B6. So mineral, chromium picolinate, I've been working with this mineral for years, especially for diabetes. So people who take chromium picolinate, now this is something that is safe to take in isolation, and not all minerals are, but this is a trace mineral. So it happens at a very, very micro scale, not like the milligrams of the larger minerals, but the trace minerals can be taken, especially the chromium picolinate. So there's a lot of research on this particular mineral, and it has been around for a very, very long time. So it's an essential trace mineral that's needed for normal digestion, reduction, and utilization of nutrients for breaking down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It increases insulin activity while improving glucose metabolism, which is important in diabetes and obesity. So we're dealing with blood sugar levels, we're dealing with how the body handles fats, and we're dealing with the body's metabolic rate, or how fast does it break things down to utilize them for energy and, just promoting and regenerating itself, repair and regeneration, things like that. So you want to pay attention to things like that when you are losing weight. And we're not talking about water weight. We're not talking about losing valuable protein tissue. We're talking about burning the body fat. Okay. So this is a very important mineral to help in that process, and to maintain blood sugar levels so that the pancreas can secrete insulin, which is the hormone that helps uptake all of the excess sugar out of the blood and putting them into the cells to use for energy. And if there's too much sugar in the blood, then the body will convert it to body fat. It'll store it in, of course, under the skin or anywhere else, but mostly in the liver. So people who have fatty livers are obviously, or if it's a non-alcoholic type of liver condition, then you're going to have a fatty liver. Okay, so it stimulates heat production that increases energy expenditure. So this is one of those nutrients that I was talking about that actually elevates the heat production in the body. And anytime you have heat production in the body for a sustained period of time, it will dip into the body fat stores for energy. And so that's how it works there. So the CRP, which is short for chromium picolinate, is directly involved in protein, fat, and protein metabolism when the body pairs it with organic compounds such as picolinic acid to aid in absorption. And it also helps to increase the rate at which insulin and amino acids are taken up into the cells. Studies show an increase in lean body mass and a decrease in body fat percentages after 90 days of supplementation with CRP. Okay, so that is good news for trying to reduce body fat. Body fat is effectively dissipated by an increase in a sustained elevated heart rate during aerobic exercise. During aerobic exercise, the lungs working harder than when at a resting heart rate increases oxygen intake, and the body switches over from the normal expending of blood glucose for energy to the heat releasing fat burning ATP energy production cycle. So that summarizes what I've already said. That's a very important paragraph. When you get this document, then be sure you highlight that and keep that in mind. That's the only way to burn body fat. Dieting alone without these aids or without increasing your heart rate a little bit is not going to help you get rid of body fat. Your body is very smart. It thinks it's going into a famine when you're reducing your calorie intake drastically, and so it'll just slow down your metabolism. And so when you eat, it's likely to store it as body fat because it's worried. So you want to not let it do that. Maintaining lean body mass while losing body fat requires both aerobic exercise and maintaining only a dietary slight calorie deficit. So yeah, I mean, you don't starve yourself. You go about your daily work and business, and you make sure that you have enough calories to maintain your whole metabolism. And that takes up more calories than exercise. So you've got to maintain all of the workings inside your trillions of cells. You have to maintain them. And the only thing that maintains them so they work properly is through the right nutrients. So, don't starve yourselves. That doesn't work. All right, so certain plant compounds and plant-derived minerals such as chromium picolinate are known to be involved in reducing body fat without losing healthy lean body mass. So that is a proven thing. I quote my own book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, and that's because I go into that a bit in my book. Okay. All right, so there's all my references. You'll see them later. But yeah, so which one would you like me to go over next, Tina?
Well, I'm just already blown away by how much information you've given us all. But I think the thing that people really want to know is the synergistic effect of all these ingredients together. Why do they work? Why are they superior? Why is this product going to be different than maybe the 100 other weight loss products that they've tried in the past?
Okay. Again, it's the technology of the drops. There's so much more utilizable right away. It doesn't have to go through the digestive process and where the body decides at the last minute to dissipate it elsewhere, for something else. It goes right into our cells, and the DNA and the molecular configuration of the vitamins and the mineral are going to be utilized right away where they're needed inside the cell. And usually if the body is, if you're on a weight loss or if you're just not trying to lose weight and you're using the PFT just to see what it will do. I know a lot of you are going to be part of a study from what I heard from Pamela. So that's exciting. We'll see how it works. And I saw your pictures. Oh my God, I was blown away. You were already perfect. But after that, it was like amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And honestly, to me, a trial is only a trial if you change nothing. So right. I didn't change the way I eat. I didn't drink more water. I didn't exercise. I didn't do anything except 2 of the drops a day. So I was really impressed myself with the product.
Oh, very impressive. So yeah, the scientific method is very important. You can't, if you're going to test something, you can't change all these different factors. It has to be very, very carefully done so that nothing changes. So there's no guesswork as far as, well, maybe it was this that caused it. Maybe it was that caused it. So yeah, it's good that you didn't change anything. And so that shows that the only difference was the PFT drop. And I can see why, because every single ingredient in the drop has been shown to help elevate the heat production in the body to choose fat over carbohydrates. So yeah, that is the key. That is the key. So there's a certain synergy about all of these ingredients. They all have a fat burning or heat elevating factors in them. So when you have 17 all in one formulation, I've never seen any kind of product that purports that you'll lose body fat. I've seen maybe 3 ingredients in other supplements, but this is 17, and there's extensive research on every single one of these ingredients. So that's what makes it different.
Oh my gosh, I love what you just said. I'm going to watch it 18 times and make sure to memorize it. I know a lot of people on this call with us are not only super excited to start taking the product, but also to be able to share this product with the people in their lives that need it. Maybe you could go through each one of the first 10 ingredients that you listed and just say one fact, something that they could really wrap their head around in layman's term that they could then share with other people.
Oh, do I have to? Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're going to all get this document anyway. So yeah, let me pick out. Okay. So aloe vera. Yeah. I mean, I went through my book and I picked out a couple of things. Okay. I mentioned, glucose metabolism in the book. However, I did new research on it, and here's what I found. Okay. I'm zeroing in on how it affects glucose metabolism. As a glucose lowering effect. I mean, if you have too much sugar in your bloodstream at once, it's going to convert it to body fat. It's the safest way to handle that much sugar. So it affects how the body handles carbohydrates to minimize converting them to body fat. Okay, so I mean, don't go out and have all kinds of carbs because of this. Let's get ahead of the curve rather than, pardon the pun, rather than just staying behind it. Okay, so that's one. Oh, but one more thing, Tina.
Yes.
It's anti-hyperlipidemic, so it lowers fats in the blood, especially in a high-fat diet. And again, don't go out and eat high fat just because aloe vera will, reverse that a little bit, but that's just a little bit. So yeah, those are two things about the aloe that I like. So barley seeds, oh my goodness, this is a very ancient herb. It's a low glycemic index, so you diabetics out there, you don't have to worry about barley seeds. They're a very safe carbohydrate. Again, making sure your blood glucose levels are just maintaining an even keel. Too much will convert to body fat. It's been shown to reduce visceral fat, and that's the belly fat deep in the abdominal cavity and that surrounds the intestines and the liver and the stomach and all these other organs where your body stores that. So it helps reduce that, barley seeds. Okay. All right. Beetroot extract. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. All of these, okay, here's one. Phytochemicals in the beetroot were found to down-regulate, lower the level of high blood sugar. Okay, and it benefits the high blood lipids because of the biochemical compounds like the betaines, and it has to do with the regulating cholesterol. Okay, and help in the energy production. There is again that ATP fat burning cycle that we get into when we do aerobic workouts. But the beetroot is very great for helping in that process too. Okay, so brown algae. Oh my goodness, how am I supposed to pick one? Okay, so oh my goodness. So I found out it was a seaweed. I never knew brown algae was actually a seafood. And so that means it's full of minerals. Minerals help the body activate higher metabolic processes. So the fat burning is involved in that as well. I'm trying to pick one out here. So much research on brown algae, all the algae, red algae, I forget the other color, but brown algae, there's quite a bit out there too. So, okay, it's got a lot of polyunsaturated fatty acids, PFAs, like linoleic acid, arachidonic acid, and icosapentaenoic acid. These are all very beneficial fatty acids. And when you take in these types of fats, your body will change it's the way it handles fats. So in chemistry class, we learned like dissolves like. And so when you mix two chemicals together, but they have similar molecular structures, they're going to dissolve each other or interact with each other. So that when that happens in the body, your body is able to convert it to energy. So again, there's that heat energy, high metabolism thing going on here.
I have a question about something you just wrote that I'm reading, and maybe you could explain a little more. It says it's been found to have appetite modulating effect that signals safety levels. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now this particular one, okay, which one are we looking at just to make sure? Oh, yeah, it's the algae. So,
yeah.
So, okay, so appetite modulation means that it's going to satisfy a lot of the body's need for energy production. So there's a lot of phytochemical compounds, fatty acids in this particular seafood and the minerals that will assist that. So, the digestive system, and I'm trying to remember where the question is, which one it was. There's something else I wanted to say about that.
It was, it looked about halfway down the page, appetite modulating effect.
I saw it and I lost it. There's something else in there that I wanted to make sure that I talked about. Sorry, I don't see it. Do you see it?
Yeah, it's in the middle. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 15 down. And it's under the word EPA. Yeah.
I see it. Okay, there. Okay, there it is. Okay, yeah. So your body's always executing all these signals, the nervous system, the hormonal system, the immune system, everything works, and it's signaling all these different things just to make sure everything is being executed properly. So as far as the satiety levels, that's what I wanted to say. So when you eat and you start feeling full, sometimes that is not perceived by the person. That that they've had enough to eat, and the satiety has already been fulfilled. And so they keep eating, they tend to overeat. So there's a lot of deficiencies that lead to not being able to detect, when to stop eating. So, and it could be psychological too. People don't like to feel hungry. They're afraid of, going hungry, or they have emotional, deep-seated problems associated with food. So that's something else entirely. But when some people are eating, they really don't have that signal. So they keep eating and they tend to overeat. And of course, when you're eating nutrient-rich foods, that doesn't happen because the nutrients are there that help that signaling process and help you stop. So that's what the satiety levels means. And so this particular algae has enough nutrients to provide for the signaling that's correct.
That is so interesting. Thank you for explaining that.
Sure. I love this. All right, so flax seeds. Now that's high in omega-3s. And again, like I said, it's well, okay, let's do this. It's effective against inflammatory adipokines. So these are kind of inflammatory proteins like the cytokines. And so when adiposity or fat storage is occurring against inflammatory cytokines associated with low-grade inflammation. So when a person is overweight, all these other factors that cause the body to produce all these inflammatory proteins, then the flax seeds are very effective for attenuating that. So when there's a decreased production of anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, and adiponectin in adipose fat tissues. So, I mean, this is kind of attenuating all the inflammatory responses when there's too much body fat. So there's a lot of health issues associated with that. And it's a whole cascade effect. The metabolic syndrome includes all these different diseases and that kind of thing. But flax seeds is a very, very important food to provide the fatty acids that attenuate that inflammation. So, when you're losing weight, that's another, the body goes into this mode, it's like, where's my food going to come from? What's happening here? So again, there's this inflammatory response, as low grade as it might be. So flax seeds help attenuate so many different things that are happening in the body. Okay, like I said, omega fatty acids improve brain function, brain size, and the glands that modulate behavior and moods. Also things like spatial and learning tasks, all these different functions in the nervous system, can be prevented if they're malfunctioning. So the Garcinia cambogia, we know it well, but it's actually been found to reduce abdominal fat accumulation. Okay, so that's been tested, preventing and reducing visceral fat. Another, aid in helping the body not be so readily prone to storing body fat. Ginger root, a top anti-inflammatory root. It has so many. If you have seen my book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, then you'll know that ginger root is massive when it comes to all this different research that's been done on this root. But okay, so here's one. Found to modulate obesity through potential mechanisms such as increasing thermogenesis, and that means increasing heat production in the body, and lipolysis, breaking down fats for energy rather than storing them, suppression of lipogenesis, which is the suppressing the formation of body fat, and inhibiting intestinal fat absorption and controlling appetite. So ginger root is a superhero when it comes to how your body handles fat. Moringa leaves, okay. All right, so found to help regulate genes involved in adipogenesis, accumulating fat deposits, blood glucose intake, insulin resistance, and metabolic regulating hormones like insulin, leptin, resistin, and vaspin, all involved in glucose and fat metabolism. So this plant is a superhero also when it comes to helping your body metabolize fat, putting them in the right places, using it for energy, reducing inflammation, rather than just putting it to work, rather than just having your body store it in your adipose cells. Okay, pod pepper, another hero. I mean, this is hero after hero after hero, in this formulation. It's impressive. So let's see, let me pick something out here. has been shown to sustain fat oxidation or the continued breakdown of fats or triglycerides down to free fatty acids. That's what you want. You want to, when you take in fats, to make sure your body reduces them all the way down to the fatty acids so they're free to circulate wherever needed and enter any cell where work needs to be done, whether it's reducing inflammation or just cell structures, energy production, just all these different things that fatty acids do. I can't even begin to try to summarize that. But maintaining an elevated resting energy expenditure when not exercising. Now that is impressive. So when you exercise and you're at rest, then you're still burning calories after the workout. That's what's great about exercise. It elevates your whole, all your metabolism, everything that's going on in the body is accelerated. It's more efficient. You're detoxifying more readily and you're building new cells more readily. Inflammation is being taken care of, especially when you're well nourished in between workouts. So the capsaicin in the pod pepper or cayenne, it's really great to help maintain an elevated resting energy heart rate when you're not even exercising, even when you're sleeping. So that's a great thing. Okay, so psyllium. Oh, wow. All right, here's one. It's been found to improve basal metabolic index. So that means it's measuring the waist circumferences and different types of measurements that you take on the body that determine a formula that is associated with certain diseases. How they do that is really interesting. So it's been found to improve the mean waist circumference. So if you have a large waistline and you're taking in, the psyllium, it's so great for digestion and cleaning out the bowel. I won't even go there, but there's a lot of different health benefits. These are a very gross summarization of these ingredients, by the way. But yeah, as far as weight loss and maintaining, healthy weight, then it's been found to improve, actually help the body eliminate a lot of toxins. Sometimes when a person has a large waistline, it's not necessarily all fat. It's from the bloatedness, and a lot of these toxins that are stuck in the colon that cause bloatedness. All these different things are happening in the body, and that can affect the BMI measurement. Also been correlated with reducing obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and some cancers. So there's a lot of phytochemical compounds, a lot of nutrients that address all of these different body systems to return them to normal functioning. A great detoxifier, a great cleanser. But in this case, it's good for reducing the body weight size. Tomato extract. Yeah, there's so much here. Okay, so found to reduce levels of cholesterol levels. That's another thing you want to watch out for when a person is gaining weight or has a lot of body fat. Usually the cholesterol levels are higher, and especially the low density lipoproteins, which means they are not able to dissolve cholesterol. So they're not heavy enough like the high density lipoproteins, which are beneficial. So when you have this condition, then the tomato extracts or eating a tomato in general, I don't know how many extracts are used in the formulation at this point. I did send a message asking Esther if she could get that information for us so that we know exactly what extracts were taken out of the tomato, because a lot of formulations out there will take a couple of extracts and they will sell the extracts only. So that's a certain processing that takes, these different compounds out of the plant. And so they're able to isolate these phytochemicals and sell them as supplements, but they're not doing their full job. They need the whole synergy of it. So sometimes extract simply means that they've crushed the plant materials, and the extract could mean, the juice, that's an extract. Or it could be something that's mixed with something like glycerin, or even in Chinese alcohol tinctures, they're extracting most of the phytochemical compounds or other nutrients out of the plant material. So extract is a general term. So that's the question I put to Esther, and then she's checking that out for us.
Excellent.
Okay, turmeric root. So helps promote metabolic functions conducive to weight loss, reduces the incidence of obesity-related health conditions, and that spells out metabolic syndrome. So when a person is obese and they have this whole set of health issues, that's called metabolic syndrome. And so it helps improve the metabolic functions. All right, so anything conducive to weight loss, everything that I've mentioned so far. And so the turmeric root is very good for accelerating those processes.
Wow, that was incredible.